Hey, Jim Bob, I think the perfect person to debate on the topic is a guy named Bro Sanchez. He's a black dude with a large following and pushes Gnosticism. Interesting. Well,
renounce Satan and his works and his pomps and his service and his angels and his inventions and all things that belong to him or that are subject to him. I renounce Satan and his works and his pomps and his service and his angels and his inventions and all things that belong to him or that are subject to him. I renounce Satan and his works and his pomps and his service and his angels and his inventions and all things that belong to him or that are subject to him. Confusing order with destiny, discouraging healthy thinking, while the mind is at ease, the soul is distressed. The mother said, "Turn before the soul."
Good afternoon, welcome to the Good Godfather stream. My name's Xwan. Today we're covering some hot takes. We got some hot takes for you today. We're continuing kind of where we left off yesterday. We've been looking at the top streams of the last year. We're kind of reflecting also on how our month has been going so far. It's been a pretty groovy month here. Let's see here. We got taking a look at some things here. It's taking a while here for it to catch up. Some of these videos are like kind of broken right now. There we go. All right. We've been hanging out with Jim Bob here. Let's go ahead and watch the rest of Jim Bob's. Let's see if we can get Jim Bob to rate us. That's what we're going to go for. We're going to hang out here with Jim Bob till his stream's over.
My shirt.
And
Tyler Childers. There we go.
then when we're done hanging out with Jim Bob, then
How
we'll
much for a new song? Well, it's still 50.
get back on
Made 100.
track, covering the top
$50.
top
But bot
debates from last
I'm not
year.
giving- I'm not giving 30%.
Yesterday we covered a
Only
bunch
bot chats. Only bot
from
chats. Okay. Anywho, let's
basically the angle of
on the
Christianity versus other worldviews and religions, i.e. atheism and
got going on.
Islam and Judaism, the Abrahamic faiths. We're not going to worry about Hinduism. I'm not really interested in taking on any Hindu debates. You know, if Hinduism was really a problem or Buddhism was really a problem that we had to worry about, maybe we should worry about Buddhism. Buddhism might be a one that
Benjamin Boyce,
I would consider taking a look at because, you know, all those boomers and Buddhism and stuff. My Buddhisms.
Violence is good, actually, outside the Overton. Let's send you over there.
Let's hang out with Jim Bob.
You know, this is an outreach program, okay? So be good in the chat over there. It's appropriate because the name of the stream today was Overton, so I feel like that's a sign. Rapture theology.
See,
enjoy
raid me
over there today. Tell them I said hi.
Jim Bob, raid me.
Hello.
Who are you raiding?
I gotta, you know, that's how I build. I never do this. I'm very nepotistic.
Yeah, you are.
So,
You son of a gun.
for me, thanks for the new subs. Thanks for the super chats. I think I reached my goal. I'm preparing. I think I got enough of your guys.
Let's see if he's got a
donated videos of you guys
Discord.
screaming goal to make a single file.
Oh, you know what? I should start off my stream with that. I got to do a goal.
Here we go.
I haven't done a goal yet.
The Overton.
I've been thinking a lot about it.
You can shout out my
I got to gear up for some vocals. I'm going to be doing some vocals here pretty soon, so let's do a goal.
If you're in the chat,
Look at my hair. It's looking pretty good today here. Not looking too bad here today in the stream.
Adios, God bless you all. Ciao, ciao.
God bless.
Have a good
Lay her down on them grass glibbins. All right. Got to kind of get in the breath of it first. Can't just jump right in. You got to get ready. I don't know how long it was. I wasn't hitting a timer. Let's try it with a timer this time. Oh man, I don't see a Discord going on with Jim Bob. He's probably got some. Members shop. Sorry, Jim Bob, I'm not a member. I don't know that I can or will be a member, but you know, I probably should. Maybe if I ever get support. My own content. Just I'm not in any position to be supporting anybody else's. I'm not in any position. You don't want my support. I'm a loser. Until I'm a winner. Then when I win, then I won. Okay, so that was it. We didn't get the raid. Darn it. Oh well. So let's just go back to our content here. Ways that you can support. Start by going over here to Patreon. On Patreon, we have the most recent performance of a recorded new song called Helmet that we got up there. Go ahead and check it out. Plus a bunch of like back catalog music, I suppose, is in here. We got Wedding Supper of the Lamb. I don't have it. I don't have those I don't have those songs. Oh, I do have this song in here. Humane Violate. This was taken from a live performance. A little taste of what we got going on over at Patreon. More supporters we get over there, obviously, the better content we're going to be able to be putting out. So there's that. Let's see here. I think my filters are not quite right. Oh, I don't even have a channel. Analog Lab? What's this? Probably something that doesn't work. Let's just hit it with dynamics. Tech. Pretty quick release. Okay, interesting. We're gonna hit it pretty hard, like that. Check. There it goes. Kapow. Yeah, we're riding it on in. Kaboom. There we go. All right. So that's Patreon. Besides Patreon, you can also go to our website, go to GoodGodFather.co. Go ahead and check out our shop link that's up here at the top of the web menu here. You can see shop right here. Click on shop, brings up the shop, and we have things listed right here. This is you might see me wearing this shirt. I completed the ancient pagan ritual of converting to Christianity. This is now loading a bunch of our Gumroad content here. My pedals are always for sale. Lyric scrolls, I hand write these lyric scrolls. This is something you really might be interested in, especially for people that are really big into the lyrics things. Seats, handmade, prayer ropes, hand-tied, hand-wired XLR cables, pre-order, I pray you. I mean, that's like basically a fund. Like it's quote-unquote pre-released, you know, but it's a pre-order, but it's just like it won't go until it gets. I only have a couple of these hats left. Trucker hat, camo trucker hat, tie-dye, t-shirts. I don't have any t-shirts right now. All my t-shirts are gone. Actually, no, I have one XXL. So, you know, that's going on over there. So, but then we've got, this is our cafe press shop, and this is where you can see the ancient pagan ritual product there. And if we go back, we got the Good God Father cross t-shirts, lots of merch going on, undies. I like this one. I'm gonna get this for my phone case. The throne room, the throne of heaven. I really like this one. I hope people, that's one I want to get some printed and actually have on my table. What else we got here? The web logo, GoodGodFather.co. I like this one too. I mean, like, look, we got some great stuff over at there at our cafe press shop. You can check the links in the description. Next up, we've got our backed.by/GoodGodFather website page. We do have tons of content up here for subscribers. The good thing about them is that they actually take crypto, which we're really encouraging people to be more engaged on the crypto market, crypto angle of things. Not really loading up very smooth just yet. No backers right now, as you can see. I do have posts up there, but it's taking a while for it to load up. So let's move on. But it's basically a Patreon, but for crypto people, for crypto exchanges. There's our Gumroad page here again. All the stuff we have up there. These are all the pedals I have available. Everything's marked up. You're going to be like, dude, I'm not buying your pedal. Well, okay, that's fine. I don't need you to buy. This is to fund my project. I don't have any other way of funding. I'm not here to give somebody a sweet deal on some crappy pedals, okay? I'm here to get funded. I'm here to raise money. Because you know what? The left that is murdering people in the street, they got funding, okay? They bring it together. So you got to get smart about the ways that you are supporting yourself and supporting the community. And this is what I do. This is my angle, okay? So this is what I'm doing to do my part. And I don't have big funders. I have gearheads, you know. I honestly hope that these sell. This right here, this sucker, the NAR factory, that is actually my custom job. I custom built that. ToneThreads.com/GoodGodFather. Here is where we have Ruby graphics, custom designed this t-shirt that's still available up there. There's the white on black. This is the white on blue kind of outline look there. Plus the lamb with the scroll, the lamb that was slain from before the foundations of the earth. I like that one too. This is for all you horror people out there that are into weird stuff. This is a biblical image for anybody who's going to freak out and say, oh, it's satanic. Well, you have never read the book of Revelation, so whatever. And finally, our Bandcamp. I never look at my Bandcamp. I really don't even care about it. I hate Bandcamp. I think Bandcamp is part of the problem. Bandcamp is part of the reason why you have all these people murdering people in the streets. Did I say murdering? Because that's what they're doing. They're murdering people. Okay, so that's how you can support me. We are taking a look at debates here today. Continuing from yesterday, we saw how bad they got it. They got it real bad. They're having a bad time. Muslims are having a bad time. Jews are having a bad time. Basically, atheists are having a bad time. They're all having a real bad time. And so I would say we got it pretty much settled. I mean, we're not going back to the days of some like atheist utopia. That's never happening. That's never coming. It's a failed experiment. Let's just say it together. A failed experiment. So Christ is King. Christ is Lord. Christ is alone victorious over every enemy. The last enemy to be destroyed is death. Of course, he conquered death by his death. And so he calls all men to repentance now through us. That's what we're doing. We're here to repent. Answering the call of good Godfather by not just singing our silly songs, though our songs are pretty killer, if I do say so myself. But we're asking the question, what for? Why do we need to do this? Why is it so important that we sing our silly songs? And the answer is because that is one of our weapons against our spiritual enemies, because we know this is not a battle against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, and spiritual forces in high places. And we have this amazing tool called music that is a very effective weapon against those enemies. And that's what we're doing here. We use that weapon in that spiritual war. And we use our brains to think about it, because here we have figured out that Christianity is victorious, remains supreme over all other worldviews. And now we're working it out. Okay, Christians, how do we figure out Christianity? What kind of Christians should we be? And that brings us to the debates that have been happening on the Christian front, which to me are far more exciting. Like, I'm not really interested in the debate with like atheists anymore. I mean, like, if you are a Christian and you're still intimidated by arguments from atheists, then you need to look it up, dude. Like, you are way behind. If you are intimidated by the arguments of atheists, that means you've not been paying attention and you are not aware of just how much trouble they're in. So we're way beyond that. We're looking at, okay, now we've got the problem of, we've got all these different sects of Christianity. Which one's the right sect? And that brings us to this debate, which I think is the most riveting, pivotal debate of this topic between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, because it's a linchpin. It kind of unlocks the whole cage here. There's another debate though I want to pull up here before I do. I'm going to take here a minute just to do that. Now that it's just kind of popped into my head, because I just want to make sure that we get Gavin Ortland debate on icons or something. And it was like within the last year. Yeah, this one. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and jump right in here. This is Petrus, who's a layperson, versus Erick Ybarra on Orthodoxy versus Protestantism. We're just going to roll it.
Before they go.
We might look for some highlights, probably. For now, we're just going to let it roll. Probably just watch opening statements.
Fabulous to be here, thank you.
And then basically what ends up being the
Just spend a couple of minutes
case closed end of the debate.
So I'm Erick Ybarra, a Catholic apologist. Many people
Candy salesman.
online. I am from Orlando, Florida. Married, six boys, and I have a Patreon account at Classical Christian Thought and a YouTube channel, Classical Christian Thought. And
am I blocked by Ubi? Did Ubi block me?
My name is Danny Sellen. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I live in Henderson, Nevada. Flew in on, I believe it was Thursday morning, and I am just one simple electrician who runs his own business.
See, electrician.
And I'm trying.
Just a regular guy, man.
All right. Well, thanks very much. So since Erick is taking the affirmative, you have 20 minutes, Erick.
Or is Ubi just like off?
all right, okay. Thank you, Matt, for hosting this debate. Thank you, Ubi, Denny, for accepting. I should begin by briefly defining Vatican I. Vatican I doctrine of papal government can be boiled down to three things. Number one, Jesus conferred supreme authority.
Jesus.
Number two, the perpetuity of this authority in the Bishop of Rome as the successor of Peter until the end of time. And three, the nature of this authority as including full power to teach infallibly and to possess immediate, direct, and universal jurisdiction over all Christians. My job today is to prove these three things from mutually acceptable sources of Christian history. I'll be restricting myself to three things: the ecumenical councils, the church fathers, venerated by East and West, and the expertise of scholarship, particularly Eastern Orthodox Byzantinists. My opponent, Ubi Petrus, takes
Byzantinists.
the Roman had universal primacy of real power and jurisdiction, but one that is mediated and granted to him by canonical law. When and if the Pope appeared to be exercising legitimate authority in the first millennium, Ubi takes it as merely the prerogative that constitutional law gives to the heads of the council. However, while it is true that popes often acted as heads of councils, I'd argue this is a reductionism. This will be the crux of our debate. Before diving into the historical sources, let me ask this: what should we be looking for in history? Some think if the papacy is true, history would be filled with examples of absolute and unstoppable papal individualism. That is, the Pope doing everything himself over and against everybody else. However, Pius IX himself, the Pope who presided over the First Vatican Council, did not believe that this was the logical result. In June of 1871...
Yeah, because it was a mind game, dude.
Pius IX accepted the famous instruction of the Swiss bishops, which made it clear that the Pope, both before and after Vatican I, is morally bound to work together with his brother bishops in the government of the Church. When he was head of the CDF, Father Joseph Ratzinger said that the papacy and the episcopate is, quote, reciprocally related and inseparable, close quote. If that is true, that should influence our expectations as to what we should find in history. We should not expect to see papal individualism in the texts of history, but rather a normal conjoining of Pope and his brother bishops, head and members, with the added detail that the Pope's authority rests upon foundations that clearly display that he was given unique and singular privileges to govern by divine right from Christ through succession from the Apostle Peter. Therefore, simply demonstrating the conciliar or synodal procedure of the Church in the first millennium will not suffice to subtract from my thesis. Now, let's dive into the history. I'll be looking at four things. Number one, the Council of Chalcedon.
Oh, these are Beto supporters.
And number three, the three chapters controversy. And four, a note on the schism between Pope Symmachus and anti-Pope Laurentius. In the events leading up to Chalcedon, we see a Greek archimandrite, Eutyches, and his...
Yeah, you know, like, look at these people. Here, I'll do this one. So here we got Joshua. This is on Mr. Andy No, MR at MRANDYNGO, which is interesting because this whole thing is about taking on or exposing the NGO pipeline that props up these freaks. Joshua John, the man who carried out a deadly shooting on an ICE facility in Dallas, left behind a literal anti-ICE message on the rifle cartridge where he killed himself. John comes from a liberal biracial family in Fairview, Texas. His mother is critical of the gun laws in her state. His sister, Kyoko John, is a woke woman who was a supporter of Beto O'Rourke. Three people pew-pewed. I got it. At the ICE facility ended up being migrant detainees, 2 of them unalived. The attack occurred in the context of months of Democrat politicians, liberals, and leftists encouraging violent direct action against ICE. Antifa and far left extremists have been releasing names, photos, and addresses of agents, urging comrades to them. In July, members of a North Texas Antifa cell allegedly carried out a pew-pewing ambush on an ICE facility in Alvarado. One officer was pew-pewed in the neck, but narrowly survived the nightly violent attacks on the ICE facility in EDX, Portland, my backyard, by Antifa remain ongoing. So this is the fool. There's this cute little drawing. Looks like there's some people have noted there's like some stuff on this. I think they all just say anti-ICE. This is, I think, the mom. Governor Abbott, Senator Cornyn, and Senator Cruz. How does it make you feel that your action to open up gun laws is responsible for the ending of 21 more people? Do you secretly, instead of in front of a TV and smile, a demented smile? What a freak show, dude. These people and like their little inner dialogue, their inner narratives, this is what they do. This is what I know what you're doing. You're sitting in front of your TV and you're smiling. It's insane. It is so insane. They think that is a good, unreal, dude. Oh, stupid. What do we got? Mr. Lake. Oh, cool. Bonhoeffer. Boy, did I botch that one. They will come up with some BS in their head about some narrative they want to roll with. Blah, 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 gun lobby, blah, blah, blah. But will they ever take seriously the challenges to their narrative? No. This is the sister and the girlfriend here. Oh my God. So condescending. All right.
To no accusers appealing to Rome for a verdict on apostolic Christology, to which Pope Leo the Great issued his famous tome defining the 2 natures of Christ. With terminology of papal supremacy, Leo claimed that because Christ made the Apostle Peter to share in his own authority to govern the universal church, the person of Peter's successor inherits immediately divine authorization to bindingly teach the universal church. Leo claimed that his tome was the final word that could not be revised and would serve as the sole condition for saving communion. Long before he obtained the agreement of the whole church at Chalcedon, he wrote, quote, "Whoever departs from Peter's confession, that is the judgment of Peter's successor, has no part in the mystical building that is the Church of Christ," close quote. Vasily Bolotov, a 19th century Russian Orthodox scholar and a great church historian, according to Father Georges Florovsky, states that in Leo, quote, "all the Roman prerogatives of supremacy are to be found exactly as they have been defined by the Council of the Vatican," close quote. Another 20th century Russian Orthodox academic, Archbishop Fyodor Podzivsky, who contributed notable works on the Church Fathers to the Moscow Theological Academy, said that the ecclesiology of Vatican I can be, quote, "deduced from Leo's system by purely logical..."
Sorry, Eric. Eric wants to know. Good.
That juridical immunity
I'll just tell you right now, Eric.
While logically deducible in Leo, was manifest in his success.
It's not going to go well for you. Let me just show this. Good. Good. No. No. It's not good, dude. Not good. It's kind of a train wreck. And it's amazing how you guys will like not see that. You'll just spurg out. You'll freak out about how blah, 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 my Pope, my Peter. And you never actually address the argument. You never actually get into it. You just quote mine. You just throw quotes. So that's the answer. Nope. Not good. Not good for you. I'm going to tell you right now. It's not good for you. So, spoiler alert.
Professors Pope Galactus,
this doesn't pan out for him.
Hormisdas and Agathon.
He's already wrong from the outset.
Each venerated by the Orthodox Church. The late Olivier Clement, who was professor of church history at the St. Sergius Orthodox Theological Institute, wrote that Leo's tome, In the Thought of Leo, quote, is self-decisive and that the council simply must ratify it, close quote. Clement sees Leo simply echoing his predecessor, Pope Celestine, who reminded the Ecumenical Council of Ephesus that, quote, Christ established Peter as the foundation of the church, close quote, and that, quote, Peter continued.
He really doesn't add
and his successors
anything to the conversation. Like, he's the most.
Council said Peter, quote,
he's just thinking about, he's got some root beer candies in his pocket. He left some root beer candies in his pocket. That's all he's thinking about. He's like, I can't wait. I forgot that I had these root beer candies in my pocket.
Of the patristics.
And the Roman Catholic Church says that I can have candies in my pocket. They don't have canons about candies in your pocket in the East. How do they know if they can have candies?
Scholar states that
they don't know.
Leo understood his tome to be, quote, totally authoritative. He did not believe his teaching gained any authority by being approved by an ecumenical council, close quote. Not least expressing his supremacy in doctrine, Leo overturned the sentences against Eastern bishops who were condemned at the Robber Synod of Ephesus in 449. This is followed up by the Council of Chalcedon, wherein the tome of Leo was widely received by the right-believing bishops of both East and West as the authoritative voice of Peter.
As J. Dyer will always point out,
the very first session,
the tome of Leo comes from the teaching of Cyprian.
Confessions of faith.
Or Cyril.
Not everyone held that view.
It's the Cyrillic.
Unfortunately, resistance to the tome
teaching
and the papacy
of Chalcedon
increased, and new emperors devised an alternative plan to secure peace in the empire. The first strategy was to throw Leo's tome and Chalcedon to the periphery with the imperial edict known as the Henoticon. Chalcedon became either a good option or an obstacle. This was supported by Emperor Zeno and Acacius, the Patriarch of Constantinople. Pope St. Felix III, on the basis of his apostolic auctoritas, issued a universal excommunication of Acacius and all who held communion with him. This started the Acacian Schism in 484 AD. This demonstrates a claim of immediate jurisdiction since it was a judgment decided by the Pope and resting upon his singular apostolic authority in St. Peter. Pope St. Gelasius defended the singular right of the Roman pontiff to issue such a condemnation on the grounds of his immediate commission from Christ through Peter. The world-renowned Greek Byzantinist Milton Anastas sums up the Roman view in the thought of Pope St. Gelasius. Quote, believing that Christ had delegated to the See of Rome supreme authority over the whole church with power to govern in all questions concerning doctrine and discipline, Gelasius held, says Anastas, The Pope, on his own initiative, could make decisions binding upon the entire church without recourse to a council, for in his judgment, the See of Rome constituted the highest tribunal in the Christian church. Its decisions were irreversible and itself could not be judged by anyone, close quote. Milton Anastas received his PhD in history from Harvard University and was a prestigious professor of classics and Byzantine history. While many Greeks in the East were questioning Chalcedon at this time, Rome held firm to its classical narrative. Pope St. Simplicius, venerated by the Eastern Orthodox, wrote to the Emperor Zeno that the pure Christian faith permanently, per stat in the Latin, remains, quote, in the successors of Peter, upon whom the Lord imposed the care of the whole.
Look, dude, what are you not understanding about what these people are saying? You're intentionally obscuring what the messaging is in these quotes. It is intentional, 100%. You clearly are not gathering that the point of what he's trying to say is that Rome still has the faith at this time, at the time that Rome is Orthodox, right? You can't then later say, when all these other bishops are like, no, they blew it, when they get anathematized by Constantinople, but who is this that he's actually talking about?
Venerated by the Eastern Orthodox. While many Greeks in the East were questioning Chalcedon at this time, Rome held firm to its classical narrative. Pope St. Simplicius, venerated by the Eastern Orthodox.
Simplicius. Okay. Well, let's look at St. Simplicius. Former Pope. 468. Okay, so he's citing a pope to reinforce the pope. This is all they do.
Zeno, that the pure Christian faith permanently, per stat, Emperor Zeno, that the pure, venerated by the Eastern Orthodox, wrote to the Emperor Zeno that the pure Christian faith permanently, per stat in the Latin, remains, quote, in the successors of Peter, upon whom the Lord imposed the care of the whole sheepfold, whom he promised he would not fail even to the end of the world, close quote. To heal the Eastern Schism, a new pope.
So what? So what? That's what he said. Oh, we have to take Pope whatever his name is. Why? Because you say so, and he said so. Whatever a dude says, that's whatever you have to accept, just because that's the dude that said, like, what? They are as stupid as they think we are.
Drew up a formula, or a libellus. The terms were, among other things,
libellus.
Leo's tome and the removal.
I'm going over to Andy's after this. We're gonna get a sandwich. We're gonna get sandwiches. It's gonna be Philly cheesesteak melt. Have you ever had the cheesesteak melt? Oh, this delicious.
In Rome, because of a permanent promise made by Christ to.
Permanent promise made by Christ.
Consequently, unity with the Roman See was indistinguishable from unity with the Church. Commenting on the Petrine contents of the formula,
Petrine
theologian Father Alexander
Petrine sandwiches. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to Petrine sandwiches after this. The Petrine sandwiches,
which was imposed upon the Eastern bishops,
were imposed upon the Eastern bishops. Okay.
Oxford Press.
That's why we're going to Petrine sandwiches after this. All right.
By Greek historian and classics professor Anthony Kaldelis, he states the following, quote, for the East to return to communion with Rome, all its bishops must submit to the Pope, close quote, speaking about the formula of Hormisdas. Kaldelis calls the formula a binding document that affirms, quote, Rome's supremacy over the Church, close quote, requiring, quote,
nothing in that.
The supreme pontiff and the universal Pope, close quote.
No. It's after. It's even after this that they even depose the Pope.
Says, quote, acceptance of this form
Let's get to Ubi.
Papal supremacy.
I'm done listening to this guy's candy face.
Again, I'll click the timer.
Am I close enough?
Yep.
Okay. Papal primacy is not our issue, as we agree the Pope was a first and presided in love, that he was an archbishop of the world. Nor is papal supremacy our issue, as we agree the Pope was the highest, most supreme bishop, who in fulfilling the role as a synodal head was required to either ratify or reject the decisions of the synods at which he presided. And so his relationship to the patriarchs was mirrored in the relationship of a patriarch to the archbishops, an archbishop to the metropolitans, and a metropolitan to the bishops. Hence the oft-used address for the Pope in the first millennium, Archbishop of the world. That was used repeatedly, specifically at Chalcedon. In the canonical literature, it is abundantly clear that the relationship between each grade of episcopal authority is a mirror of the relationship below it and or above it. We go over this for roughly 45 minutes in our very first video responding to the arguments of Erick Ybarra from May 2020. What we do object to is the Vatican I model of a dictator who can speak infallibly as he pleases with no recourse to any council or any institution, whose whims can become incontestable decrees, as we recently saw with the Latin Mass, which sadly is once again being decimated. But that is a position you must prove existed in the first millennium. It is a position that even the Pope's hand-picked scholars do not believe existed then, as we've seen from the Ravenna document, also from Chieti, also from Alexandria. Further, you bear the double burden of providing evidence that the Pope could and did speak infallibly on matters of faith and morals, with the intent to bind the faithful without the cooperation of his fellow bishops. It is not enough for you to show that in his role as the head of the Roman Synod, he issued excommunications and anathemas, as that is normal in a federation of churches. And that is exactly what the First Millennium Church did. They were a federation of churches, and many patriarchs and archbishops availed themselves of such a privilege, cutting off from their synodal communion all those who refused to comply. A prime example of this is a situation involving St. John Chrysostom and the Patriarch of Alexandria, St. Theophilus, which created a schism with Rome and was only healed under St. Cyril. But on the topic of infallibility, when the Council of Chalcedon critically examined the tome of Pope St. Leo, they used the Councils of Nicaea and Ephesus as the standard. Had the tome been understood as ex cathedra, this type of behavior would have been unthinkable, as it would have already been considered dogma. But when one reads the pages upon pages of the bishops critically examining it, one cannot help but realize they had no concept of the tome as being ex cathedra, nor did St. Leo for that matter, because in letter 120, he states the Council of Chalcedon, quote, ratified his tome, and that it has been, quote, received by the judgment of the whole Christian world.
Boom.
Furthermore, when Bishop Vincent Gasser, at the behest of Pope Pius IX, wrote the...
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Erick Ybarra? Did you hear what he said? I don't think you heard what he said. See, this is the thing. Like, I can't take you seriously because it's so ironclad, it's so open and shut, that you'd have to be a damn fool to continue to hold your position. And you are. You're a damn fool. You are. Your whole little Catholic cult, it's bananas. I can't take any of it seriously. How anybody believes that you are an honest arbiter of anything, I don't get it.
Official interpretation of Pastor Aeternus, known as the Relatio of Bishop Gasser, he did not include the tome in his examples when trying to prove papal infallibility.
Boom.
Yes, St. Flavian did say that all it would take is a letter from St. Leo to cure the situation, with Eutyches, that is. But that is because Eutyches himself says that is what will make him change his mind, not any commitment on the part of the Church of Constantinople. In other words, the tremendously influential person, that being Eutyches, was actually the godparent of one of the chief eunuchs and very influential. The person who was causing all of the problems announced they would listen to whatever Leo told them. Of course, Eutyches only said that because he thought Leo would agree with him. When St. Leo did not, Eutyches immediately went to the Patriarch of Alexandria, Dioscorus. It's worth noting that Eutyches actually appealed to Alexandria and as well to other sees. But this is revealing. There's a revealing quotation from St. Leo's letter 14, section 12, in which he roots the primacy at every episcopal level to the distinction between St. Peter and the other apostles. He draws a parallel between the role of a metropolitan among the bishops, an archbishop among the metropolitans, and the pope among the archbishops. Quote, and again, this is letter 14, section 12. And though they have a common dignity, yet they did not have uniform rank, inasmuch as even among the blessed apostles, notwithstanding the similarity of their honorable estate, there was a certain distinction of power, and while the election of them all was equal, yet it was given to one to take the lead of the first, from which model has arisen a distinction among bishops also. And by an important ordinance it has been provided that everyone should not claim everything for himself, but that there should be in each province one whose opinions should have the priority among the brethren. And
It's that simple. Like, what is so hard? Why must you totally destroy what is the clear, pure, wholesome, pristine council of history and the bishops? Why must you destroy that? Why must the Vatican establishment, framework, scaffolding, why must they hijack the entire Christian world for this power that they only get for like a little bit of time, but then they have to go, face, they're going to be held to account for this, like it's insane. But we're going to get to a little later in just a little bit. We're going to look at some other content of my, this is no secret, but I am definitely, I want to be Orthodox. I want to be catechized and convert to Orthodoxy on an official capacity, but it's a ways out. But I'm also I'm kind of taking my time because I want to all right, I'm in. I just got invited to talk to Erick Ybarra. This is how desperate these guys are. Really? Erick. Okay, man. I mean, that's cool. I appreciate your invitation. I do appreciate the invitation. I've been invited to go talk to Erick Ybarra. Okay, great. All right, cool. Erick Ybarra just invited me on to talk about the debate.
Again, certain whose appointment is in greater city should.
It's so funny. I'm laughing because who am I? Like, look, how many people do I have watching right now? I have, what's not gonna be there? Like no one. I have no one watching. Dharma Dom, hey brother, how are you today? Hello Dharma Dom. I am very good today. How are you, brother? Like I got Dharma Dom over here saying what's up. And Erick Ybarra wants to hit me up and be like, let's have you on. Great, dude. Great. I need some record sales. Subscribe to my Patreon, homeboy. Subscribe. We'll talk about it. I'm no respecter of any of the antics. You know? I'm just a commentator. I'm just a metalhead. I'm just a rock and roller. I am an irreverent. I'm a Protestant on paper. You know? I'm on my way to oh, why did I reset it? Oh, we got to follow from Dharmadon. Thank you very much, Dharmadon. I appreciate the follow from you. No, seriously, do fine. With oh wait, who's Erick? Erick Ybarra is the other guy in this video that I'm currently watching. This is a debate that we're covering today.
Church convert.
Dharmadon, let me tell you, in the last year, there have been a number of debates. Yesterday we covered debates between Christians, Muslims, Jews, and atheists. And basically, you know, we're on the Christian side here. I'm a Christian. We're all for the Christian apologetics angle. And since we pretty much covered all the, we're not covering Hindu, buddy. Just in case you were curious. Hinduism not on the table. It's too goofy. It's a goofy thing. Pagans not on the table. We are looking at the major Abrahamic religions. We already did that yesterday, though. I mean, it's just like, okay, open and shut case. Now we're on to Christians versus Christians. In Christianity, as anybody knows, there's a bunch of different versions of Christianity there are out there, and this is what is really kind of the top debate in the last year. One of the top debates, and that's what we're covering the top debates. So, Erick Ybarra is a Catholic apologist, and he just invited me to talk to him about something. I don't know what. About what I thought about this debate. And I'll take it, you know. There's no such thing as bad press, as they say. But you know, all I'm signing up for is to get roasted. But I've been roasted by most of the Christian world for a while, so it's not like the Christian world that I've known for as long as I have. I get roasted by Christians all the time, so it's like, what do I care? You know, it'll be cool. Thank you, Erick Ybarra, for the invitation. I'm looking forward to hanging out and talking about this debate. So, Erick, in the setup for this whole thing, everything comes down to my Pope, my Peter, my Pope. And it doesn't matter how much you outline for them. Like, well, actually, you know, like the demonstration, what you would have to demonstrate, and this is how Jay totally destroyed. We're going to look at this debate a little bit. Jay Dyer, his debate with Timothy Gordon, and what, like, this all comes from Ybarra here in this debate. Just how they didn't approach things that way. There's a lot of flowery language and a lot of quote mining they do, and when you take the whole thing into account, there's just no excuse for it, you know, except the excuses they want to run with because they're so scared of letting go of my Pope. And it's like, why are you scared to let go of something that is so obviously wrong? Like, if it's Christ that we're after, I really appreciated what Cleave to Antiquity was saying to Craig Truglia yesterday on that stream. What is that? If you're following Christ, you're following Christ with everything. You're giving him your life to be willing to suffer even death for the gospel is, it's been delivered to us. And there's no other tradition that's preserved the gospel the way that it's been preserved by the Eastern Orthodox Church, which has its problems. No church doesn't. But I'll tell you what problem it doesn't have: authority. I'll tell you what problem it doesn't have: the whole teaching of the faith of the apostles. Doesn't have that problem. Dude, I've been at it. I've gone to every single church you can imagine. I was baptized Foursquare. I've been Reformed. I've never really held any Reformed views. The closest Reformed view I have really is just like the basic sola scriptura, sola fide. That's okay, from Russia. Yeah, thanks. Yo, what's up, Russia? I've been to Russia. I actually was part of a Calvary Chapel church plant in Russia. So Calvary Chapel, that's a little bit of my background there too. Mainly Protestant. And it was in Russia for the first time in the Red Square at the cathedral, the Kazan Cathedral. I saw my very first Orthodox liturgy. I visited, I was in Perm. I was at a church plant in Perm for Calvary Chapel, and we did like a little music spot. I played guitar, and really hope that I can get some footage from that. But when I saw Orthodox, I was like, I just remember my friend commenting like, wow, I was really surprised how Christian the place was, how much Christianity there was in Russia, a place that in the United States, yeah, you're from Kazan. Oh, cool. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I am telling you the truth, my dude, guy, or lady, whichever you are. Don't mean to assume any genders around here. We're not getting bullied, by the way, over here. If you're on the whole like Antifa kick here in the United States, we're talking a lot about that right now, and I'm after it gung ho. I'm not backing down from saying, the left is totally, I grew up going to church talking about the condition of Christianity in Russia, and dude guy, what's up, Pavel? Look at this. Yeah, okay, Pavel. See, I like to do a lot of small electronics, and we'll get some like Russian transistors and stuff, so I've been slowly trying to like familiarize myself with the Russian alphabet. Pavel. Anyway, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on the stream here and chatting with me. But yeah, you like in Calvary Chapel circles, really conservative. There was a lot of especially at the time that we were talking about the church plant in Russia, and especially when I was going to Russia, we talked a lot about like, the condition of Christianity, how the communists destroyed the Christian church. And, but since communism fell in Russia, there's been kind of a resurgence, and there's actually a lot of Protestantism going on there. And of course, like being Protestant, everything Protestant is good. Anything that's anything else is, of course, bad and satanic and demonic, and you got to like look out. And so if it's Orthodox, it's Catholic. And like there was a lot of overlap of Catholic, Soviet, or Catholic, Orthodox, like those are the same thing in the Western American Protestant world. This was the biggest Soviet mistake. Yeah, destroying the church, right? Because it's like a big resurgence there, right? Couldn't even worship in public. Yeah. So a lot of concern over that. But then when we went and we saw Christianity kind of pretty much everywhere, the church on like every block, right? In Perm, there's a lot of churches, big, beautiful churches, just amazing. But I used to remember even walking into the Kazan Cathedral and being like, looking at the icons and thinking, this stuff is not just a picture. Just knowing that intuitively, like I'm looking at something that is more than just artwork here. And I had no idea, I had no idea what I would find. That was the seed for me to like kind of look what is it we're talking about? What are we looking at? Why? Sorry, I got interrupted by checking my X here, and I looked at Erick Ybarra's commenting on my tweet saying, because I said I tagged Dyer and I said, looks like they're reaching the bottom of the barrel to have me on, because Erick's not talking. Erick doesn't want to debate. You know, like no one wants to have the Catholic debate with Dyer about the geopolitical influence on the papacy and how that is a more rational justification for how Anyway, so that's Erick Ybarra. He's on my case right now. Here, trying to watch. We have communities of old Orthodox believers called Staroverdi. I don't know what that is. This is like American Amish. Yeah, old Orthodox. I think that's even the community we have here in Oregon. I think there's a lot of old believers that make up the population of the Russians in Oregon. There's a lot of Russians. I live in Oregon. That's why I'm saying that. Oregon, we've got a lot of Russians that live in the valley, in the Willamette Valley, what we call the French Plain, or the French Prairie. What apologists am I into right now? Well, I mean, basically all the Orthodox ones, mainly Dyer, Ubi, Petrus. Those are the top two, of course. I'm big on the theology angle of things, because this is what, like, so I'm a musician. I do music. That's what I'm doing. Like, this is how I promote myself, is dealing with this topics. I really don't try to steer away from the content that kind of motivates my music, and my music is very it was going to Moscow, seeing the cathedral, that made me totally change my approach. Like, it seeded what became this project that is the Good Godfather. You're on the Good Godfather channel. My name's Sean. Check out my website. Go to goodgodfather.co. Buy a t-shirt. Go ahead and subscribe on my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/c/goodgodfather, and you can subscribe. All the channels are in the description. All the links are in the description. Good to spiritualize other parts of your life. Sure. Yeah, I don't like compartmentalization. Yeah, I really tried to keep my content meaningful and holistic, you know, looking at the mind, the spirit, the culture, the art, the expression, the creativity, the ideas. And so we're 100% anti-communist around here, 100% anti-left. We are very pro-Christ here, very pro-nationalism, you know, like Christian nationalism, as they talk. You know, everybody makes a big deal. Well, Christian nationalist. So you could say I'm definitely a Christian nationalist. Every nation, every tribe, tongue, and nation will bow down and will confess Jesus Christ is Lord. So what happens to those nations? They just disappear and they become one big nation. It's a one big globalist state. No, that's not what it is. Christ shares his authority with us. He shares his rule with us. And this is how all these things are connected, because music is infused in the teaching of Christ and the apostles. Music is also a metric by which nations govern their populace. As like, there's a famous story about the Chinese emperor who would listen to the music. You could tell the state of the different pockets of the empire based on the music that they were singing. What is your thought of Jesus teaching being socialist beliefs? I think that's stupid. The closest thing you could say is their voluntarist beliefs, and not like, what always confused me is, doesn't Satan have a lot to do with music? Satan does. I mean like that's not an explicit thing, you know, Satan gets a lot of credit for all the music, but you know, the position here is my position. Satan creates nothing. All he can do is distort, pervert, and bastardize. Only God is creator, and he gives human beings, being made in the image, glory, and likeness of God, he gives us the power to create, as not in the same way that God creates, but in partnership with God can create. But Satan doesn't create anything. He only bastardizes. And so, yeah, Satan is known for utilizing music as an important part of his ministry in legend, you know, like this is like kind of the sort of mythical side of Christianity, where you get like stories like this that are associated with Satan. Can you make correlations? Sure. Is there some legitimacy to the legend? Maybe. I don't really want to get in the weeds about that. The important thing for me is the legitimate form of worship that's that endures to this day in Christianity, is that God is a musical God. God creates the world through the power of his word, of his logos. And there's a sense that's musical about that he sings like it is in Chronicles of Narnia, where Aslan sings the world into existence. I kind of like that analogy. Although it's not explicitly music, but it is explicitly music in the context of worship, i.e. the commanding of the building of instruments to be performed in the worship service as is given on Mount Sinai. This is where this is the one thing that I actually differ. Like, I'm even cool with perpetual virginity of Mary. I'm cool with that. You know, a lot of people are like, I don't know if I can really believe that. Like, I can understand the problem there. Like, that's even been a little bit of a holdup for me. The perpetual virginity of Mary. Like, she didn't have any other kids. And I used to think that was a serious problem. I just don't anymore. It's kind of just doesn't. I'm cool with it. I'm like, great. She was perpetually a virgin. Awesome. That's rad. I love Mary. That's for sure. I'm definitely not with the Protestants that want to hate on Mary and say it's like, oh, goddess worship. No, like, Mary is the mother of God. Like, for real. I thought there were mentions of Jesus. Siblings. There are mentions of Jesus' siblings. They're considered to be his step siblings from a previous marriage. That's the Orthodox position. I'm totally cool with it not being one of the, I don't know how much, you know, like, there's probably some theological problems by saying that she is not a perpetual virgin. You know, I'm not really all that sentimental about being Protestant these days, though. I'm really not. I'm pretty much over it. I'm ready for Orthodoxy. I just want to see as many people come with me as possible. That's kind of where I'm at. Okay. We're going to get through a little more of this. Let's see if Erick Ybarra sent me another response here, though, first, before we keep going. All right. What a good sport. He's going to crush me. I don't know. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's not as smart as I think he is. I don't know how well I even have this kind of stuff. I'm a Protestant. Technically, on paper, I'm a Protestant. You know, I don't have a spiritual father of you know, somebody of authority that I'm under. I could get myself in a little bit of trouble here. I don't know how much trouble, but who cares? Couldn't get any worse, dude. I'm no one. I'm nothing. I've got nothing, which is why I need y'all to subscribe to my Patreon. Thanks so much for Dharma Dom. We're over here on Twitch hanging out with and Bormotat Los. I wonder if I'm pronouncing the last one right. Loj. Anyway. Can't remember what I was talking about. Let's get on with this, though. You can watch some other things about Orthodox perspective. You will have also. I don't know if I left the link. I might have. Yeah, the link to this particular debate is in the description. You can watch this full debate. We're not going to watch the full 3 hours of this. We're only in the first opening statements. We'll let Ubi finish that opening statement, and then I'll take you to what I think is kind of the kill shot of this debate.
Towards Peter's one seat, and nothing anywhere should be separated from its head. Letter 1412. We know from canonical literature what the rights of bishops, metropolitans, and archbishops were, and St. Leo is drawing a parallel between those and the role of the papacy. So we have a very good idea of what St. Leo saw as a pope's role, and it was not Vatican I, but conciliar ecclesiology, as the Orthodox Church teaches to this day. Further, St. Leo states that the higher up.
Yeah, actually, let me talk about the question that came earlier, which is that is there thought of Jesus being socialist beliefs? Absolutely not. Socialism is the belief that the power of production, the means of production, lies with the state. That's not all the position of Christian teaching. Christian teaching is that it's the voluntary power of Christians accountable to Christ, who, out of the abundance that they have personally, individually, that they would share with their neighbors in order to, improve the quality of life for all the people around them. That whoever has more, they should give to those who have less. But not a generalized, centralized statist model where everybody just automatically gives to this institution, a state institution that should also not just run the means of production, but the means of distribution, as well as the governing of laws and so on and so forth. That's not the Christian model. There's a specific. This goes actually to this whole debate between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, that the Pope, after the schism in the 11th century, 11th or 12th century, I think it's 11th century, wherever the Dictatus Papae came around, that they declared, the Pope Urban, I think, declared himself to be the head of all Christians and all temporal powers, and that in the later writ of Unum Sanctum is where if you don't believe that, then you can't be Catholic and can't be saved. So you have to believe that the Pope is the authority over all temporal powers, and if you don't, you can't be saved. You can't go to heaven. You can't inherit eternal life and the kingdom to come. So that is the centralized papal model. The Orthodox model, however, is that all the bishops in a conciliar collegial body have the authority to throw in on these discussions and to correct wrongs and to govern the church, to govern the church. And this is also something that's going to go into what we're going to get to eventually here. We'll see if we can get to it, but hopefully we'll get to the Wesleyan stuff, because John Wesley, he runs on. There's a lot of push. There's a lot of intrigue about what is called in a body of work by Lord Peter King in the 17th century about what he calls the primitive church. And this is, the Church of England's best. He's like a prominent lawyer, a lord. And he writes this whole treatise on what was the ecclesial model of authority in what he calls the primitive church. That is the church of the first 300 years before Nicaea. And he dips into Nicaea a little bit, but by and large, what is noted is that the priest and the bishop are sort of overlap as being kind of the same in the language of the New Testament. But he actually capitulates on that point a letter that he writes saying that actually, no, that delineation is pretty much solidified by the time of Ignatius writing in 107. in his letters that there's a definite difference between a bishop and a presbyter and what their roles and authority is in the church.
Quote, their opinion should have the priority among...
But no, there is no centralized state. The state and the church authority are supposed to be two separate authorities.
Essentially that of Apostolic Canon 34 on the universal level, which states that the head of the synod and the members should do everything in concert, not one alone. Moving on to Pope St. Felix III, which you brought up in your introduction, it is often pointed out that St. Felix excommunicated